Fictional Livestream. Glad Hey, we're Saints. Father Chris here. Welcome to our Crucifixion Livestream. Glad to have you with us today. We have been spending time this week fielding your questions. So in the comments, whatever platform you're watching us, throw a question, something confusing, whatever, anything you want us to address. We've been having fun with it. And today's question was really good. The one we're going to address today came to us from Tyler. And he says, I would love a video on how to navigate the so-called spiritual desert, i.e. feeling far from God, not feeling strong enough in our spiritual lives, struggling with prayer, etc., etc. Great question. I mean, it's something that's real, something that happened to me as well. I don't know if you remember last week, we did a video called My Head in a Vice because I was in that desert. Like, I was struggling through it because it just seemed like on the couple of days that week, everything was squishing my head. It was like nothing was life-threatening, but there were so many issues just coming all at the same time. And I felt lost. I mean, I felt like I didn't know what to do. I couldn't take it anymore. And I used the metaphor of putting my head in a vice because I was just like, it was things in travel, things back in the parish here. We were traveling, taking my kid back to college. So we had to deal with all that and those emotions. And then the city we were in it's like chaotic in the city. Then there were things happening in the parish. Then there were things that the parish needed we didn't have. The Warrior Saints had stuff going on. My own personal businesses had stuff going on. It was like, holy cow. I mean, my kid, the youngest, was alone by herself and had things. I was like, I couldn't take it. And I felt lost. And in the midst of it, I was like praying. I was like, God, what are you doing? Help a brother out. Like, I don't understand. Why are you letting this happen to me? We got through it. Thank God. Now, interesting, yesterday, a couple of things happened that were of great import to us in our ministry here where we live. I mean, like, huge. And it was like God threw some like magic dust, and all of a sudden we had two very, very big and important things happen that are going to be incredibly beneficial for our ministry here. And I was like, so the good came after the bad. It dawned on me that like the vice that I was being squished by, that desert that I was in, had some resolution at the end. Not because God somehow repaid me with, you suffered through that, so I'm gonna be a vending machine and give you something good. No, it taught me something absolutely new, a new and profound way to look at the desert and what Tyler may be experiencing or at least asking about on behalf of all of us. It dawned on me that we must go through the desert to get to the green pastures, right? That's kind of, and interestingly enough, a new way to look at it is that we actually crave and seek the desert because we know that only by going through it do we find the green pastures. A few weeks ago, I don't remember, but Greg said something that totally rocked my world. And I'm going to share it with you again. I want to give him the credit for it because he was reading the Psalms and noticed, why did the compilers of the book of Psalms put it in the order that they did? Like, why did they pick Psalm 1 to be first and then Psalm 150 to be last and everything in between? There's an order to it. There's rationale behind it. And then he focused on Psalm 22 and 23, which I'm sure you all know these. Psalm 22, very famous. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Right? And this verse is also used by Jesus on the cross in some of the Gospels. Why are you so far from helping me, from the words of my groaning? O God, I cry by day, but you don't answer, and by night I find no rest, right? Like, it's the forsaken psalm, right? What's happening, God? Kind of like I felt with the vice. Kind of like many of us feel when we're in the desert. We're not there close with God. It's like some days I feel like I could reach out and touch him, and other days it's like, where are you? I've rejected you, or you've rejected me, and I feel like I'm not praying well. I'm not focused. My spiritual life isn't good. All of those things that Tyler and others are struggling through and struggle through. But then Greg said, after that comes Psalm 23, and you hear, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters and restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Greg made an interesting point. You can't get to Psalm 23 in the Psalter, the book of Psalms, until you first read through 22. And when he said it, my head exploded. It made me think, like, holy cow, there it is, right? You must go through the desert to find the green pastures. And interestingly enough, the next verse in Psalm 23, even though, come on baby, Coolio, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. So all of this, to answer the question now directly, is offering me, like, or me offering to you an entirely new way to look at things. And it may seem crazy. I've been doing it myself. Greg does it himself. We know it works. But it's that we deliberately seek those hard and dry desert moments. Not in a masochistic fashion where we're trying to harm ourselves. But like, maybe not seek them. Let's say this. We embrace them. Because we know that those moments and those cycles, those seasons in life are inevitable. And we've switched our mindset from being, let's just endure it, or let's just, fight through it, though we do those things, but to embrace those moments and to realize that this is the Psalm 22 moment. This is what makes us stronger men and women, better warrior saints, right? So it's a different way, an entirely new opportunity on how to look at things. So rather than take these dry moments, these desert moments, the head in a vice moments, when we're feeling estranged and say, oh my gosh, it's awful, but all right, I'll just endure it, I'll get through it. Rather, let's look at it as, ooh, this is a moment where something is not happening to me, something is happening for me. All right, let me give you a specific. When I was in the vice in the other city taking my kid to college, at first I was irritable. I really was, because it was just a lot of pressure. And my bride, actually my oldest, like just flat out laid into me. It's like, Baba, you're being a jerk. Cut it out. And she said it nicer than that. She didn't say it nice. She was real. She was direct. And I thought about it. It's like, all right, she's not wrong. So how can I use this as an opportunity rather than me venting all my wrath on my bride and my oldest from the stress? It taught me this is a moment for me, so that while I'm in this vice, while I'm in the desert, I can talk to them, maybe eliminating some of my frustrations from spewing it at them. So in that moment, immediately my demeanor changed on that trip. And you know what? I got a hold of myself. I got a hold of those emotions. I didn't throw them unnecessarily on other people. And it taught me, you can do this, baby. You can get through this desert, right? So I say that not to boast by any means, but to say, like, it's an opportunity. It happened for me because now I'm looking at it differently. I don't know if that makes any sense. Am I rambling? I'm rambling. I'm totally rambling. He shook his head no, but I think I'm rambling. But I hope you get the point. Rather than look at those spiritual deserts as, overwhelming things that are going to crush you, realize they are there for you. So that as you navigate, as you work, as you continue and strive to do the things that you're supposed to do, the valley of the shadow of death you might be in, but the Lord is there to give you green pastures. He's the shepherd, and he says you shall not want. So all of my rambling, let me conclude with this. Look, when you're in the desert, keep going. Right? Don't stop. Do the things that you need to do. I've used this metaphor before. And for those of us who live where we live in the Arizona desert, the Sonoran desert, it's easy to see and understand the metaphor. When you are going through the desert and you get kind of to the middle, you know that the oasis is way over there, but you're in the middle, it's hot, you're tired, you need water, and you want to just lay down and die. It's like you're in hell. Well, keep going, because if you stop, you're stuck in hell. Does that make sense? Like, that's it. You just laid down and died in the middle of hell. If you keep going, you're going to fight through some hell, but on the other side is the oasis, the water, the life-giving water. I hope that makes sense, that metaphor. Like, I know you're in the middle of it. It happens to all of us. Keep going, because at the end, the Lord is our shepherd, and he will bring you to those green pastures. All right, I've talked enough. I've rambled enough. He's shaking his head. He's like, anyways, I love you. Sorry. I hope that helped. If it didn't, put it in the comments. Let us know. We'll address it again. Maybe I'll be clearer another time. Give us your questions. We love you. We'll be back tomorrow. As always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.